Okay, so I need to address this real quickly because I went on Twitter, and about a couple of hours ago, JD posted something asking why people pretty much have been, I guess you could say, shitting, excuse my language, God, shitting, crapping, basically getting on him for basically saying what he considers to be the truth. And look, I've come out recently and have said that, basically, JD is one of those people that needs to stop allowing his fear and paranoia to rule over his thought process. He needs to not let what Vince has done in the past rule over his enjoyment of the product now. Yes, does Triple H make some mistakes? There's no doubt he does. There's no doubt in my mind that he makes mistakes. Anybody that's basically in the first full year in operating and running and booking creatively, a bigger product within the whole, I guess you could say, conglomerate known as WWE than what he's used to, is going to make some mistakes. Because sometimes the ideas that people like Triple H would use in NXT originally don't always apply to the main roster. Sometimes you got to change it up a little bit. Now, with that said, here's the thing. JD, I respect you more than you think. I enjoy your content. I really do. Because now what I'm seeing is an evolution. You see, because basically people still view you as an AEW, ass kisser. They still view you as an AEW ass kisser, a Tony Khan suck up. They view you as somebody that secretly is trying to apply for a job in All Elite Wrestling. That's how they view you. And yet lately you've kind of come to the conclusion, very evolutionary, if you will, conclusion that basically AEW is not perfect either. And that even AEW will make mistakes, including the owner of AEW. He himself will make mistakes, as well as succumb to pressure or pleasing others that are even above him, like WBD, when it comes to the potentiality of the AEW Saturday Night Collision show, if that occurs later on this year. Or even potentially the extra hour they're talking about being a third hour of Dynamite, which a lot of people unanimously agree is not necessary. But the thing is, I respect you for the fact that you have your own opinion, you have your own voice, and not everybody's going to agree with it. I mean, I do admit, because I've said it in numerous videos and podcasts, JD, that you do need sources sometimes that have a very positive reputation on getting most of what they report right. And to tie into what I said earlier in the video and podcast, you might as well enjoy trying to get those sources where you can, because if what Disney does to Google and Reddit, because of the leaks that have happened recently, if that has any ripple effect all across entertainment and sports in general, then, well, what you're doing now, you might be basically, the first of many that are going to have to say, hey, I'm going by what I have, a gut feeling about. I'm going based on facts. I'm going based on experience. Because that's what you're doing right now. Although you have numerous people, including someone like a Sean Ross Sapp, coming out and telling you that basically, that you're not correct in what you're saying and that you're blowing hot air and that you need to have the facts before you say anything. And look, I get you had issues with Sean Ross Sapp, and which is why you're basically saying I don't need sources to go with what I feel. And I respect that. I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. When I was reading the original run of Sonic the Hedgehog, when it was under the Archie Comics license, I basically stated, long story short, that when they did the little reboot, the soft reboot that they did, starting with 252, I said that the AI character known as Nicole, the way things were being booked or written, if you will, was going to be the key to everybody getting back their memories. And lo and behold, I was right. I was absolutely right in that. And people credited me, for being, right in that area. Why? Why? Because I've been a fan and subscriber and reader of that book for a long time. Just like I've been a fan of wrestling for a long time. But here's the thing. I've been a fan long enough to know I can still enjoy it. I don't have to always, though, constantly watch it. I can watch the pay-per-views, when they come out, or the premium live events. But I don't have to watch it on a weekly basis, because what I want to look at is what's going to, primarily drive my interest to want to watch those pay-per-views, to want to watch those premium live events. That's what I focus on the most. And then the other stuff, I just give my speculation, my opinions. And yes, I do sometimes rely on sources to kind of give me an idea of what's going on so I can formulate my own speculated opinion and theory as to where I see and think and believe things could be going. It's the same. Again, going back to when I read that Sonic comic, it goes back to that time, where they would have certain moments happening in issues and in story arcs, and just based on what I was seeing alone, was enough for me at times to speculate and theorize, okay, I know, or pretty much have an idea of where they're going. And at sometimes, I would be almost right on the nose. But you see, JD, that's because I had information. I had little hints here and there. I had sources to rely on to formulate those opinions, those theories. Yeah, I would sometimes just go with my gut feeling too, like, oh, I know what's going to happen. I see it. I mean, when I was on a fan site run by one of the writers of the comic, at that time, the writer basically had me banned multiple times from that site, or at least from the message board on that site. Why? Because I had been a fan for so long, I was pretty much able to calculate and figure out exactly what that writer was going to do next in the story. And you might ask, well, how were you able to do that? Well, honest answer is being a fan for as long as I was of the comic up to that point, as well as growing up at a time while I watched a lot of television, animation, if you will, cartoons, Saturday mornings, whatever, and in addition, pro wrestling, WWE, WWF, WCW, you name it. I watched it, and just based on all of that alone, I'm able to figure out exactly what's going. I was able to figure out certain scenarios, even before they happened, and sometimes be pretty much on the ball, like I said earlier, as to exactly what was going to occur. Now, of course, it just didn't sit well, with the writer, like I said, and he pretty much removed me from the message board due to the fact that I was pretty much, spoiling what was going to happen before it happened, or before he even had a chance to pretty much get the comic out to the public. And the way this relates to you, JD, in a sense, the way this, relates to you is I understand that you going by your own opinion, your own gut feeling on, what's been happening is because you've been a fan for so long, and because of what Vince McMahon has done throughout his run as the, head of creative booking, when he was doing that. Pretty much, I understand where you're coming from when you notice a lot of these changes, a lot of these, matches that are happening. You start hearing of, morale potentially going down, but you're not sure exactly what that morale is, but pretty much you're basing it on the experience of dealing with, and watching the product sink to a new low under Vince's, watch when he was creative booker. That pretty much the first thing that comes to your mind, is the belief that it's got to be Vince. that Vince is the one causing things, that Vince is the reason we're getting Brock Lesnar and Omos. This is the reason that Bray Wyatt, is, off television right now, along with Bliss, Alexa Bliss, and, Uncle Howdy and all that. You pretty much look at all that and everything. You look at the constant changes too, and you get that vibration based on experience that it's Vince. You feel that it's Vince. And yet you have a lot of people coming at you when you're saying, I don't need sources to know it's Vince, or I don't need sources to know this is a Vince move, or I know Vince is behind this, or I know there's more to this, or I know the Saudis are going to buy the company, This is why sometimes, if not most times, you get people going and crapping on you, JD. This is why you have people hating on you. It's because of the fact that to them, you're going on gut feeling alone and experience, and you're not relying on those that actually have legit contacts within companies like WWE, AEW, Impact, MLW, New Japan, and so on. You're not going based off those reliable sources that have contacts in those companies that can give you legit behind-the-scenes information that you can report on and then give your own opinion. This is why people get on you, JD. This is why people get on other people like you. Like, let's say, just Alex. People get on him, when he starts feeling the same way. Some people will get on your House of Glory commentating partner, the commissioner of House of Glory, Jason Salamonster, when he does the same thing. The thing is, JD, the reason people are on you right now is because you're not, to them, you're not being, what a true wrestling podcaster, wrestling fan, member of the community should be. And that's basically somebody that comes out, says, this is my opinion. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. It's just my opinion. You can agree with it or not. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. You see, they look at the fact that you're not doing things like that and pretty much saying, yeah, this guy's full of BS. This guy's a hater. This guy is a Tony Khan ass kisser. He's an AEW suck up, and stuff like that. They don't see somebody that's like, look, it's just my opinion, guys, but I feel Vince is here, but I could be wrong. They don't see that guy. They don't see a guy that's like, that does an intro that says, why is Triple H, booking WWE better than Vince McMahon? They don't see that guy. They see a guy that's allowing his fear and paranoia about what Vince did in the past, influence his mindset and influence his opinions, and influence how he feels things are going on. They don't see that. They don't see that guy whose intro says, why is Triple H booking better than Vince McMahon? No, they see the guy that's letting Vince McMahon live rent free in his head. They see that guy because based on what Vince has done in the past. So JD, I say this as a subscriber, a follower, a fellow wrestling fan, in myself. I say this: if you want these people off your back, if you want these people off your back, if you want these people to have some respect for you, and I'm sure they do, but if you want them to have more respect for you, and you want them off your back, then my suggestion, as a fellow fan, you don't have to go with it, because hey, you can beat to your own drum for all I care. That's what I respect about you. You can beat to your own drum for all I care. But long story short here, if you want people to get off your case, then all you have to do at the beginning of every Raw review, at the beginning of every NXT review, SmackDown review, Dynamite review, if you will, every off the script recording or live stream, my suggestion to you is to start it off by either putting a disclaimer or basically stating at the beginning that what you're about to say is of your opinion, and that nobody has to agree with it whatsoever if they don't want to, and that it's only your opinion that you may be right or wrong about. That's all I can suggest you try doing. Because I'm not promising anything, JD. I'm not guaranteeing anything, JD. But I can tell you honestly that if you go that route for a bit, it might get people off your back. It just might. Because if you tell them that, hey, what you're saying, what you're going to say is your opinion, and it's your opinion alone, and nobody has to agree with it or not, and you could be right or wrong about it, I've got a feeling people will be less willing to get on you negatively than they are now. But again, this is just a suggestion on my part, JD. My suggestion from me to you to try out. I'm not saying it will work, but if you try it, who knows? You might be surprised. But I just wanted to give you that message, JD. And for anybody else listening, I don't know if you agree with my suggestion to him to do this, but give me your thoughts and maybe help encourage JD to try this out, because who knows? It might help him, it may not. But that's all I'm going to say, guys. I'll talk to you later. You can comment in the live chat and in the comments below. But JD, this is just something that I wanted to tell you, and as a fellow fan, as a supporter and everything, try it. You might be surprised, at the results. That's all I'm saying. But that's all I'm going to say. You take care, guys. You take care, JD, and I'll talk to you later.